2 days after the deep dive, GSC posted a new trailer called Creating Cutscenes. It includes all the motion capture, cutscene and artwork footage shown within the deep dive, with in-game sounds rather than developer commentary, as well as some new parts we had never seen before. Hello stalkers and welcome to the Anomalous Dugout. Before we start, I must warn you that breaking down this material is bound to bring up some small spoilers, as well as heavy speculation about the story of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. So if you prefer to skip it, I understand.
Minimizing autopsy levels. Scanning for tau presence.
In the first scene, Skif enters a large circular room used by the S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the Scientific Institute for Research in the Chornobyl anomalous area. The place is occupied by a few scientists, as well as the head of the institute, Dr. Dalin. He says, minimizing alpha psi levels, scanning for tau presence. It appears the staff is getting ready to conduct some sort of experiment. Underneath the platform, Skif sees water and what seems to be an anomaly inside of it. The main theory here is that Dalin will attempt to use this room in order to take a chance and get control of the anomalous energy. Further in the video, we got another look at this place. On the concept artworks, we find the designation X11 written on the door. This almost confirms the compound is actually a former X laboratory, one we did not know about, which has now been invested by the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. This is also supported by some of the furniture's look that is identical to the equipment found in other X labs. The design of the central device itself reminds me of the anti-mass spectrometer from Half-Life, but it is something else related to the research of the zone. In the concept art, scientists wore blue coats similar to the one from Sakharov, but in the final version they dress in white. Also, large screens located around the room display the map of the zone, along with various points of interest for the Institute. I will come back to this a bit later, believe me. Another set of development images show the plan of the room along with the position of characters during the cutscenes. I assume the legend is the following: yellow is the device, purple is Dalin, green other scientists, blue is Skif, and red is the enemy, most likely guards from the World faction. Indeed, the following scene showcases Skif storming the room along with Strider. In the post that accompanied the release of the video, GSC hinted at the fact that one of the cutscenes was shown in 2 possible variations, depending on the player's choices. I believe this is exactly the scene we are talking about. In the first version, Skif watches the preparation of the experiment as if he is on the side of the Institute. In the second version, he attempts to shut down the experiment with Strider by his side. It seems that choosing to help Strider will result in opposing the S.T.A.L.K.E.R, which makes sense if we consider the context of Noon, Strider's faction, being used by the Institute as pawns to clean up the worst locations in the zone. In fact, during the deep dive, Maria Grigorovich explained that the story will change according to the player's choices, and it will be impossible to see all variations during a single playthrough. Anyway, the facility is very similar to the room seen at the beginning of the Come To Me trailer.
Come to me.
Indeed, the layout of both locations is almost the same, though we can notice some differences in the furniture and equipment. It could be a different place altogether, but the most probable explanation is that this is in fact the same area which was subjected to some changes as it evolved during the development. In Come to Me, a Monolithian can be seen taking down the Wardens, as if he is being powered up by the Psi emitter located right in the middle of the room above the platform. My theory is that Dalin's experiment will fail or be disrupted in such a way that it backfires pretty badly, emitting powerful Psi emissions and reigniting the fervor of Monolith members in the process. My friend Spartan Mozi even shared an idea of his own, that this person is actually Strider, but GSC covered his face at the time as to not spoil anything. If this is the case, it is possible Strider's brainwashing was restarted when the Monolith's voice was heard once again. I also noticed something interesting about Strider. In all of his scenes he wears a certain set of clothes, except in the Strider trailer, where it sounds like Skif did not choose to side with him. What if Strider will revert to using his Monolith suit only if the player goes against him? Perhaps this scene takes place during the experiment in the scenario that Skif is on the side of the Circa, and here Strider is storming the lab to stop us. Well, enough speculation for the moment, we need to move on. The map spotted on the monitors features the outline of the zone, or rather of the in-game map. If we try to overlap it on the paper map, it looks something like this. Not too bad, right? We can try to identify the points marked on the map, which probably represent the facilities used by the Circa for their experiments. The first is obviously the Duga radar. Then there's some unknown location in the burnt forests. I think it could be the place where the radar dish is, but we don't know yet. The next location is the building we saw in the SCAR trailer. Then we have a point very close to the building with the big antenna, which I believe should be the infamous Wild Island. Further, one point sits on top of the question marks. We think this may be where the Institute is based, possibly built on top of X11 itself, who knows. The next place is close to the power plant. It seems this could very well be the building on which Skif and the Stranger were standing in the E3 2021 trailer. Last but not least, an area at the center, inside the so-called Dead Valley. Most likely the generators. Now, wait a minute. We have the approximate outline of the map, right? And we got Cordon over there, looking real good. If you've seen my video about the map sizes, you know what we are going to do. Assuming the cordon is around the same as it was before, which really seems to be the case, we know its height is around 1.2 kilometers. With this information we can calculate the approximate surface area of the whole map, which was promised to be around 64 square kilometers. Well, here it is, 64.9. Of course, this is an approximation, but hot damn, we are so close. Next up, we were presented with concept arts for the Sinister Screens, which we believe are a device part of the brainwashing process. The subject is attached to a chair in front of the screens, with wires around the brain. On each side, large emitters broadcast what could be Psi emissions. We see part of the motion capture process for the scene where Skif discovers this room. Ingvar Dovgateles, cinematic team lead at GSC, talked about the process of making the cutscenes. He revealed that everyone participated in this huge work, and over the span of 3 years, they created around 3 hours of cinematic footage for more than 43 cutscenes. I know that some of you are concerned about the game featuring too many of such scenes and taking control away from the player, but personally I am not worried. Firstly, we know that just the main quest will take around 40 hours to complete, so 3 hours of cinematics is not that much. Secondly, these scenes are so well done, they will really immerse you into the key parts of the story, much better than any wall of dialogue text ever could. Thirdly, the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R trilogy already featured such cutscenes, so it makes sense to bring them back, now in a much more polished and qualitative state. Here we see S.T.A.L.K.E.R making what he does best, killing bad guys while having fun. It seems his appearance was slightly altered so that we could not recognize him before the reveal of his return, but now there is no doubt this is indeed a S.T.A.L.K.E.R. As the leader of the new Spark faction, S.T.A.L.K.E.R's goal is to oppose the Warden the Circa, which is why he is killing Wardens in this scene. His crazy side is illustrated when he draws a heart with the blood of the guard, all while whistling joyfully. We already discussed this in the previous video. It is possible S.T.A.L.K.E.R became a bit crazy as a result of brainwashing, or due to his nervous system being altered after surviving several emissions. Now, if we look past these shenanigans, S.T.A.L.K.E.R placed some heavy canister in the room, then retreated towards Skif and closed the blast door. Perhaps the container is a bomb of some sort, or even a toxic gas canister like the Perrin B3 found in Call of Pripyat. S.T.A.L.K.E.R, helped by Skif, may be aiming at destroying one of the Institute's facilities. But who knows, I guess it's too early to tell.
Decided to play soldier with me? But we can't quite seem to get all the pieces to fit. Maybe you can figure it out.
Then we see materials about Korshunov and his scene from the Strider trailer. All I can say is that a lot of effort was put in the cutscenes, and it shows. The technology used is quite impressive, and the actors really did a fantastic job in my opinion. It seems the motion capture actors and the voice actors are not necessarily the same, as movements and voices are recorded separately. I also wanted to point out that 2 different motion capture studios can be seen in the whole video. This is because GSC has one studio in Kiev and another in Prague.
Controlled lab environment, or take a chance and get control of the anomalous energy.
This is Dalin's scene, also from the Strider trailer. In addition, we can see the voice actor recording process at the beginning. Dalin said, "Controlled lab environments." As Hermit would say, the zone is a place of power, and the Circa is all about control. The way I see it, they employed a ward to keep the S.T.A.L.K.E.R population in check, so that they can conduct their questionable experiments in peace. If you think about it, this is not so far from what the Sea Consciousness did, using the monolith as a defense while working on their schemes. So far, the Institute has mostly been presented as an evil organization, so I'm interested to see if it actually presents good aspects that would tempt the player to side with them. Remember Zolder?
And who the fuck are you?
Well, here's what actually happens. Zolder holds Skif at gunpoint, though he counterattacks. They fight and eventually our hero prevails. Not much is known about Zolder, apart from the fact he seems to work as a radio operator of some sort, possibly at the Duga radar. In the IGN footage from Gamescom, we could see the mission behind the 7 Seals, the objective of which is to talk to Zolder. According to the Bible's books, the 7 Seals secure a scroll, the opening of which marks the beginning of the apocalypse. Therefore, I believe this quest must be very important and related to the main story. Earlier on the map, we saw the points of interest for the circa. There are 7 of them. Could these be the 7 Seals? My theory is the following. If the Institute manages to get hold of all 7 locations, they will have everything needed to achieve their grand plan to harness the power of the zone. However, they will likely not be able to control it, resulting in a huge disaster akin to the apocalypse. This is once again reminiscent of the sea consciousness, that thought it could modify the noosphere, but ended up creating the zone instead. Going back to Zolder, we learned more information about him from those who played the new demo. Apparently, at some point the player will come in contact with Zolder over the radio. A bit later, Herman reveals that someone betrayed us and revealed our illegal expedition in the zone. We believe the traitor is none other than Zolder, and that is why Skif fights him when they meet later on. Afterwards, we see various scenes of the motion capture in action.
The zone's miracles are nothing but trouble.
First, Skif is at the mercy of Colonel Korshunov and one of his soldiers. We can see the player's POV on the screen in the background. I think this scene takes place when Skif gets captured by the Ward, and it happens before the other Korshunov scene. Then we have some close combat between 3 men. I don't think Skif is one of them. It reminds me of the Come To Me opening, although it's a bit different. Next up, Scar's actor pushes Skif's actor and makes a movement of the arm, all while smiling joyfully. It is difficult to know exactly what is going on here, but I have a theory. I think Scar shoved Skif inside a small room or prison cell, then quickly pressed a button on the wall to lock him in. At least that's what it looks like to me. Perhaps this will happen if the player refuses to help Spark in their fight against the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Some of the staff is shown, then Skif's voice actor. From the screen it seems he is talking to Scar. Skif said, "The zone's miracles are nothing but trouble." There is a speculation about Skif's background and the reasons for his visit to the zone, according to which he may have lost his home and possibly his family due to anomalies appearing outside of the perimeter. If this is really the case, it is not surprising he would say such a thing. Moving on, a woman hands a gun to Skif, who instantly takes it to execute a man tied to a chair. We see the actress's face and the player's POV on screen. Well, now it's official. There will be at least 1 female character in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Not surprising at all if you ask me, although this particular woman is not just anybody. Considering the way Skif obeyed her command to kill someone on the spot, she has to be someone important. But I can't tell you more right now. Then we see another scene where one guy fights 2 others. According to the POV, Skif is part of the brawl, although he gets overpowered and kicked to the ground. One more time it looks like the scene from Come To Me, or at least it happened right before it, and that's how Skif found himself laying down. Now we can clearly recognize the opponent. This is Strider's motion capture actor. I know this because we will see him again later. This further supports Moses' theory that the monolith guy is actually Strider who came to stop the experiment. Lastly, Maria and Yevgen Grigorovich can be seen talking to one of the actors.
Surrounding the zone is really enough. If a powerful mission were to occur, we must destroy the Earth's cowards.
This is part of the opening cutscene for the game. We can see it has been improved since the Enter the Zone trailer. The TOPAZ, Herman and the emission effects have been changed. The people who played the demo were able to see the opening sequence in its entirety. Basically it plays like this. Herman drives the truck towards the zone with Skif at the back. An emission is brewing, but they are not affected by it because they are still outside of the perimeter. Though they do come across an anomaly forming on the wall, confirming the rumors that anomalies have started to appear beyond the borders of the zone. Herman stopped the truck before the wall, so Skif has to get to the other side using some tunnels.
Скіфе? Що ти тут робиш? Ви тільки погляньте на це!
Then we see some of the scenes with Richter, including concept of his scar on the voice actor, and the melee fight with Monolithians. The shock on Richter's face after unmasking one of the dead Monolith members is clearly visible through the acting, but we still don't know the actual reason for it. A Fury Snork attacks an unknown character, knocking him out, before turning its attention to Skif. Thankfully, the other man gets back on his feet and uses his Saiga shotgun to kill the monster. This is actually the first time we see the Snork in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, and its design is the same as in the trilogy. It also appears very tough to kill. At the end, the hit was so brutal that the Snork even lost its gas mask, showing part of its upper face. The whole scene is taking place in a large cave, similar to the Snork nest at the gas station in Call of Pripyat. The Snork probably caught on fire by going through a burner anomaly located inside the cave. Now we see Skif using the TOPAZ at the final scanning place, towards the end of the demo. The storyboards sum up what is happening. Skif sets the scanner, the scanning process starts. There is a surge of abnormal activity. Silence. The scanner smokes. There's a patrol of the ward, which run at the sound and flash. Skif gets down. The leader examines the scanner and orders his soldiers to check the building. The sniper blinds us. The sniper kills the leader with an accurate shot. Then we see the sniper taking down the other wardens who were about to find Skif. People who played the demo were able to report what happens afterwards, but I won't spoil the details. Basically, Skif will get knocked out by the people who attacked the ward patrol, and that's where the demo ends. And where last year's demo should pick up. Indeed, Skif will wake up in almost nothing but his birthday suit, deal with the dog, and meet with Richter.
I am blind, but it is you who cannot see.
Just a bit of Faust, the last scene from the Come To Me trailer. It seems the Creating Cutscenes video is showcasing every important character of the story, or at least those that we know about so far. During the deep dive, Ingward of Gothales explained that one of the goals of the cutscenes is for the players to get to know and understand the main characters of the story, so that they can make their own decisions based on how they resonate with some of these characters. Additionally, the cinematics will showcase the impact of these decisions on the characters and overall plot of the game.
How long did you know these undertakings? And what do we have a decade later? The Zone, in our image, after our likeness.
Here is another important character, Doctor. These scenes are once again from Come To Me, complemented with some brand new parts not seen before, as well as the poppy field snippet teased in the developer deep dive. I guess it confirms this bit is indeed part of a cutscene, possibly from one of the game endings, considering how different it looks compared to the scenes from Skif's point of view. New shots included the moment where Doctor is washing his hands and when he slammed his utensils on the operation table. He said, "How long did you know?" and "these undertakings." We don't have any full sentence, so it's impossible to know what he's really talking about. And in fact, the whole role of Doctor in the story remains a mystery so far. We don't know where he is, who he sides with, or how and why Skif will meet him. Well, we will figure it out when the time comes.
You asked me about my good luck charm, remember?
Lastly, here's Strider from his own trailer. Nothing new here, except for the fact we can clearly see his motion capture actor. As I explained earlier, this is the same actor who played the guy taking down Skif in his scene, which gives solid credibility to Moz's theory that this monolithian is actually Strider. Moreover, do you remember when it looked like S.T.A.L.K.E.R pushed Skif inside something, then pressed a button? In this scene, Skif is trapped inside one of the pods from the experiments. We can also see a large button on the side. Perhaps it was S.T.A.L.K.E.R who put our character in there. It's a lot of speculation, but generally this trailer gave us many juicy details that most people overlooked. And it is very much possible I missed some as well. So let me know your own observations and theories in the comments. In order to conclude, I want to go back to the words of Yevgen Grigorovich. In an old interview it was said that the game will have 4 endings. However, more recently he revealed that there are actually 3 endings. Maybe there is a secret 4th ending? From all the trailers and information published so far, I feel like the main story features 2 major themes. The first is the monolith, or rather the aftermath of its disappearance. There's the Noon group led by Strider, then Faust, and even monolithians who still appear fanatical. The second is the S.T.A.L.K.E.R that will try to exploit the zone, and those who will oppose it, such as the Spark faction led by S.T.A.L.K.E.R. With this in mind, it seems we could get 2 big choices to make. Side with Strider or Faust, and side with Dalin or S.T.A.L.K.E.R. However, things are not that easy, because these 2 main themes actually intertwine within the story. For example, it looks like Strider will also attempt to stop the Institute. Most definitely, there will be at least one ending where the S.T.A.L.K.E.R is defeated, and another one where they are successful, possibly triggering a 3rd Chornobyl disaster. Furthermore, we need to remember that Skif has his own motivations for entering the zone, so part of the story also has to be about him reaching his goals or failing trying to do so. We understand that a lot still needs to be discovered when we will finally play the game. The time will come, Stalkers, and it will be glorious. In the meantime, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.